Recognize the member for Courtenay-Comox.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise in support of the motion by the member from Chilliwack to recognize our 4th Accessibility Week in British Columbia and reaffirm the commitment of this House to building an inclusive province that improves the lives of people living with disabilities. Accessibility Week is not only a time to celebrate all the incredible work being done by diligent and thoughtful people and organizations throughout BC to make it a more equitable and inclusive place for all. It's also a time to raise awareness and commit to doing our part individually and collectively to making life better for those with diverse abilities, those abilities that have not been fully recognized and accommodated in the mainstream. With nearly a quarter of BC's population aged 15 and older, that's more than 926,000 people living with disabilities, and the numbers are growing. It's apparent that we're not talking about just a small portion of society, and if you're not someone living with a distinct challenge to your ability to move, communicate, learn, understand, or cope with everyday matters, your life is more likely than not to be touched by such a person. We're talking about living with a disability as a regular part of everybody's life. In the spirit of nothing about us without us, our government swept the province in the fall of 2019 to consult with people with lived experience to help shape the development of accessibility legislation that would lead to standards and regulation, entrench the voice of those living with disabilities, and review to make sure we continue to make progress. My own community came out to the Comox Legion to share with the then minister their challenges and ideas for addressing their needs. I recall Jean sitting in her wheelchair speaking with passion and strength of purpose to address communication challenges and technology for the hard of hearing, reminding us of the range of experiences people with multiple disabilities strive in an exhausting daily trial to participate. I've ridden the bus with my sight-impaired friend, Michael McClellan, a tireless advocate for the disabled. And after he moved, he shared about the painstaking work to learn the lay of the land and travel in new places that the sighted only need a road map and bus schedule in hand to navigate. I have my own experiences of living with a cane on and off over many decades. People with transitory or episodic challenges or invisible disabilities also regularly face attitudes about justifying their lives. The need to reduce stigma is very real. I'm also grateful to John Higginbotham, who has made it his mission to entice newly elected Courtenay councillors and senior staff to tour the city with him on an electric scooter, a poorly placed bush at an intersection, inadequately designed public washrooms, experiencing the safety challenges and frustrations of navigating a walkable world does more than raise awareness and understanding. It elicits a compassionate response to make it right. And that's why it's exciting to see the focus of our government on building an equitable and inclusive BC that is accessible and improves the lives of people living with disabilities. Today, as we provide more programs and supports, doors are opening for a different world. Our government has raised disability rates many times, the latest being the single greatest increase ever. We've also raised the amount people can earn without clawbacks. We've supported people living with disabilities through the pandemic with income supplements and grant opportunities, work experience programs, and adjustments to grants and programs to give flexibility in these uncertain times. And we're dedicated to including people with disabilities in a strong recovery, building a more accessible, inclusive BC in childcare, affordable housing, school playgrounds, supports for post-secondary education, accessible government services, improvements to transportation and the built environment, communication tools and learning resources, technology, business supports, and so much more. We can be assured of continuing attention with the member from Chilliwack in the new position of Parliamentary Secretary for Accessibility. The Premier and our government continue to take steps to build a more inclusive British Columbia and improve the lives of people living with disabilities. As we move forward, Accessibility Week has more and more reason to celebrate together. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.